call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon for our Southeast Tech Board meeting. Board member Ryder is en route. She just got delayed at a meeting, and I'm not sure about Murin, but we have quorum, so we'll just plan to go ahead. We'll move on to persons wishing to address the school board. I don't believe anybody signed up for anything. Move to approval the minutes of the June 1st meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Those are approved. On to approval of the agenda with one, I'd move one change, moving C, access and workforce opportunity, up to B, pre-college program advisor. Do you have a motion to approve that amended agenda?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is approved. On to conflicts of interest. It did not look like there were any new conflicts presented. So on to the consent agenda, items 7A through E. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. On to reports of the president. We'll start with number A, the FY23 budget final adoption report. Rich.
President Mickelson, members of the board, Rich Clune, Vice President, Finance and Operations. Not unlike Brett Favre's consecutive game streak, my streak of emptying the room is coming to an end, albeit with an asterisk since I'm the first on the agenda. And further to, in the interest of disappointing the board members, I'm going to be brief. A lot of this you've seen already. This really flows from the tentative adoption. Member Baker, sorry you get to hear it for a third time. The major difference is what you're seeing in the revisions from the tentative to the final adoption are just those kinds of tweaks and odds and ends that happen as we start to place more positions, things start to become a little clearer. You probably noticed a major increase in the revenues related to federal revenue. Same thing on the federal expense side. What that really is related to are the high flex classrooms. We had actually placed the order in FY22, and it was kind of a debate of whether it was going to be a supplement in 22 or based on supply chain issues if the items were going to be arriving in FY23. So they're all coming in 23. So rather than supplement, have nothing to happen, and then have to bring them in again, we just programmed them in FY23, which is different from the tentative adoption. Overall, when you look at our 23 compared to 22, when you look at our own efforts in terms of tuition and fees and our own revenue generating components of the budget, that's fairly static from the prior fiscal year. Slight decrease in the number of credits, and that's not necessarily reflective of what Megan and her group has seen in terms of admissions, but more so of my projection modeling. I'm looking backwards while we're trying to drive the car forwards. So I tend to take a look at how do we think we're going to end up in FY22, take a conservative approach of any new programs that are coming on, which have been very minimal in this year. You see the community health program, we kind of talked about that one before. One that changed from the tentative adoption was a partnership with the Department of Corrections to expand our welding program. So you're seeing an additional staff member there. There'll be some additional revenue and obviously some additional costs associated with that. Little break off of human resources, creating a human resources instructional program. We'll have a separate cost center and a separate accounting for that. But that's a break from our business administration. So kind of anticipated a little cannibalization off of the business admin program and reduce those numbers a little bit, but then increase them in the human resources aspect of it. The bigger and more significant changes really come from two major sources. Number one would be donations and contributions, and we've talked about this multiple times as we begin with the arrangements, and which was on the consent agenda. Our lease purchase option, however you want to phrase it. And I'm sure John Brown and DHS is not liking the way I describe it, but that agreement in taking over the Zeal building and converting that into a simulation center to expand our health offerings. We're getting very generous support for both health systems in terms of the buyout or in terms of the renovation of the building. So that's going to convert it to what's kind of a mixed use incubator type of space into what should be a very modern clinical simulation center. So that's part A of that. So there's $4.5 million coming in between the two healthcare systems to assist in that renovation and upgrade to that facility. The second piece of it that is related to that comes from a Senate Bill 61, where the state stepped in and provided $4.5 million to purchase the equipment to become the simulation center. So those are two pieces that are coming into play in this. So that's the biggest, largest lion's share of that increase from the prior year when we look at that. So there's over $9 million coming in from those two sources. As we bring in the programs online, we're hoping fall of 23, excuse me, might wind up being a mid-year start and going in January of 24. A lot of it's going to depend on the renovation and placement of a contractor. So we've been exploring some different options, a design bid build, which is what we typically do. We're also looking at contractor or contractor at risk, kind of like what you did with the Jefferson High School. So exploring some options there that'll hopefully help accelerate that timeline as it relates to that. The other piece of state funding that's come in, which you also have a familiar, not unlike K-12 funding, where you look at a per student allocation, that PSA for us was increased by 6% as well. Our calculation methodology is a little bit different because the other texts come into play on that. So a little bit of positive movement upwards in that. So it was great to get the 6% PSA increase. Otherwise, we probably would have been looking at a decline in our normal state contribution. But there's a part B and C to the state funding. Another part that kind of happened right towards the end of the legislative session was some additional funding provided by the state to increase all salaries for Southeast Tech employees by 6%. So the state stepped up and provided additional resources. I think the exact amount that we were notified of was $830,000. Our actual cost to do that's just a little bit more, but when it came time to explain it, it's just easier to raise everything 6%. So all salaries, all hourly, kind of jokingly say the feral cat that gets kibble behind the building, she's going to get a 6% increase as well in her kibble allotment. So that's all happening.
What are the big differences between the tentative we already adopted and what because we've all heard that part before.
Right.
Would you just do the highlights of what the difference between?
Well, that's the federal money related to the HERF.
Yeah.
So that's the only real major difference to it.
6% the state that we knew about, that's what I was confused
Right.
about. Yeah.
Yep, you've heard that before.
Yeah.
That was in the tentative adoption, correct. So really the big dollar difference is related to those federal sources from the tentative. That's the big change.
Okay.
I can't make it any simpler than that. So.
That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the PowerPoint has all the different changes that kind of hit the major ups and downs. And it's really a look from last year's budget to this year's budget. It's not a change in the tentative. The executive summary outlines those specific changes. And like I said, the big dollars where you're going to see is on those federal revenues related to those high flex programs. Otherwise, it's just tweaks, ups and downs.
That's right. Any questions about the changes? No. Okay. Yeah. Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the budget final adoption report?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is approved. Thank you,
Okay,
Rich.
thank you.
Move on to item, the amended B, which is the Access and Workforce Opportunity Update. Marcel.
Thanks, Eric. President Mickelson, members of the board, thank you, and thanks for accommodating the change. Anna, thanks for letting me cut in. So today I wanted to talk about an overview of what I've been up to over the last year and then look forward to things that are coming up in the future. So when I started the position as Director of Access and Workforce Opportunity a year ago, I thought that one of the priorities needed to be defining this work and trying to wrap our arms around what this means for Southeast Tech and for workforce. How can we best accommodate the needs of workforce and our students? I was fortunate enough that Southeast Tech was going through the strategic planning process at the same time that I was onboarding and wrapping my arms around this role. So I've had the opportunity to engage with workforce in a lot of different ways to understand what are your needs and how do we support them. So we have tried to define access at Southeast Tech really as what do we need to do to provide opportunities for today's learners? And that includes going all the way down to children and their families and trying to understand how we can be supportive of parents, to the students that we serve, and then our community members as well. So in looking at that, how did we define access and workforce opportunity? We've looked at a couple of different bookends. We've looked at the bookend that is the front end, the Sioux Falls School District, and statements on how do we support students and what are we hoping to develop in students and in our communities. On the other side of that bookend, then we've looked at the Chamber of Commerce and what has their language said about how we want to increase opportunities for folks in our community and what that looks like. So, you know, our mission is to educate individuals for dynamic and rewarding careers that promote lifetime success and meet workforce needs. So everything that I've been working towards accomplishing this year has really been trying to serve that idea of workforce needs while also enhancing some of the personal things that people want to accomplish as students and professionals. We have worked to build competency as a campus and in working with the Sioux Falls School District to understand the needs of instructors and teachers and how can we then be a place that students have come from the school district and can continue those learning opportunities with that idea of training for the future. And again, that has come back to talking with stakeholders, talking with parents, talking with teachers at the school district level, and talking with those members of the community who are making some of the decisions and helping support workforce growth here in Sioux Falls. So that also includes community support services, attending board meetings, and then working with our institutional effectiveness team at Southeast Tech to understand how do we accommodate some of the changes that we're seeing and what does that mean for our growth as a campus. We've also been engaged in the process of engagement. As we've been listening, as we've been building competency, all of those connections and partnerships are really important. So I just wanted to touch on a couple that are listed on this slide, and I'm happy to take questions about any of them or go more in depth. Parent University is a program through the Sioux Falls School District. Dr. Purnima DeSouza is somebody that I've worked with at Hawthorne. She has invited me to come in and talk with her students, talk with those parents, and kind of get a feel for you as a parent. If you had the opportunity to go back to school, what would you be looking for? What are some of your challenges? What are you encountering as you are parenting a child who is a student when you yourself maybe want to be a student, but you're also a member of the workforce? So I look forward to working with her again this year and learning more and having some more of those experiences with students to help us understand how do we serve those folks then when they come to Southeast Tech. The McGovern Middle School event was an opportunity where all of the 8th graders, 240 of them from George McGovern Middle School, came to Southeast Tech for a day of hands-on experiences with 5 different industry stations. I learned a lot about that process. We're hoping to expand it to 3 different schools next year, to McGovern, Whittier, and Ben Rifle. Definitely needing to think about how do we get this off of the ground when we expand in that way. We know that students as early as 7th grade are starting to think about college or not think about college, and then that leads to a cascading effect. So working with those junior high students is really something that I'd like to develop more in the future. And then the first generation mentorship program is something that we'll be launching this fall. I have 20 students who will be participating. 10 of them are second-year students in a program, and then 10 of them are incoming students who will be paired with that second-year student to have more of a peer-to-peer relationship. Our academic advisors, our programmatic advisors, our instructors all do a really wonderful job connecting with students. But if you remember your time as a student, talking to a peer sometimes had more weight than hearing from an authority figure. So I'm excited about this program and helping students develop some more leadership skills and some more confidence in who they are as they navigate the transition into college and then into the workforce through this program. One of the things that is of the utmost importance to me is always working with students. And I feel really lucky that in this role, I have had this blend of being able to talk about policy and talk with folks about some of these high-level things, but I haven't lost those opportunities to work with students. So I just want to share one student story with you. This is Selena, her FERPA, not really her name, but she graduated from Roosevelt High School after a year here in Sioux Falls. She's a manager at a bank. She's a manager at Johnny Carino's, and she is enrolled in our business program. When I met Selena in February, she was failing her classes. She had been enrolled in all online accelerated programs and was just having a hard time navigating our learning management system, navigating all of the coursework in English, trying to stay on top of her work responsibilities and everything she had going on. So we worked together throughout the semester. She checked in with her advisor. She checked in with our testing center coordinator. Because she's an online student, she was required to do all of her testing online. And so Karen really came alongside her and helped answer those questions. There's an online system, but sometimes she felt uncertain about things. She could email Karen and Karen would respond. And so what I would hope people take away from this slide and Selena's story is that she was able to be successful, but she did really require a lot of high-touch interactions from a lot of people. We spent 18 hours together, Selena and I. That's in addition to the hours she spent with advisors, instructors, Karen, other folks who were looking out for her. So some of the needs that this particular demographic of students has is a lot higher than maybe what we want to see in a college student or what we hope to see, thinking that they're about ready to fly off into workforce. But I think it is something that we are aware of and trying to understand how do we best shape programming and support for these students so that we can be there in the ways that they need. And then hopefully they are able to launch into their next semester with some more confidence. And now Selena will have an understanding of the LMS. She kind of knows the patterns. And so hopefully she'll be able to navigate things a little bit more on her own. So what's ahead? As I mentioned, Southeast Tech has been in the process of working on its strategic plan by listening to community partners and industry partners. We are ready to launch that new plan in the coming school year, and I think we're just putting some final touches on that before we unveil it and share it. But working alongside the guidance of what we learned from our industry partners is going to be really key to helping develop those workforce opportunities that I'm trying to provide for students. So one of the things that's mentioned on this slide is the JAG program. This is Jobs for America's Graduates. So far, Roosevelt and Lincoln and I have developed a pattern. What does it look like? When will I be there? What are the things that we're going to talk about? So in talking with Nicole and Tiffany, the two coordinators for those particular schools, I think we have a good plan in place going forward into this next school year to understand how can Southeast Tech continue to do some of the scaffolding that the school district is already successfully doing in trying to prepare students to enter the workforce. I have been talking with Rebecca Wimmer about the Family Literacy Project, and although there isn't anything concrete in place for my ability to support, I'm wanting to come alongside her and help her in any way that I can, and Southeast Tech is looking forward to those opportunities for, again, reinforcing what it is that parents need as they're supporting students, but perhaps wanting to go back for some more education of their own. And then various training sessions on campus, just trying to be a part of the classroom, coming into classrooms and being somebody that students can interact with, being somebody that instructors can interact with. My position is unique in that because I'm able to go out into workforce and interact with those folks who are helping us shape our curriculum, I feel that I'm able to then come back and kind of connect with students, but connect with instructors and help shape how we roll out programs or how we support students in the programs that we have. I believe that is my last slide. Oh, the final slide is the strategic plan, access statement, and goals. And so this is just a sneak preview of the main key points that came out of the discussions that we had as an institution with our community about what they would like to see in terms of opportunity for students as they prepare to enter the workforce in our region. So happy to take any questions now that that is my final slide.
Well, what's amazing about when you look at the strategic plan is all of those items are student focused and are hopefully going to put them towards a path for success. So I commend all of you for focusing on that. And I know that was always discussed there, but to see it again in writing is just fantastic. And what you've done in 1 year is just amazing. You hit the ground running. I don't know if you had a lot of community contacts before, but you've obviously, if you did, you used them and made sure to access them and what you're doing in your role. So thank you for what you're all doing at the campus to help the students, because as you said in regards to Selena, they probably just did not have the certain supports they needed for success. And once they get those, they will be successful. And making sure and diagnosing what those needs are for those students is so important. So thank you for what you do there. So.
Thank you, President Mickelson. I really think that, you're speaking to the idea of social capital, right? And I think all of us in this room have had opportunities throughout our life to develop social capital, whether that's through a mentor, through an experience, through falling on our face and learning how to pick ourselves up. And I really believe that is part of what we are called to do as educators in any capacity, is try to build some of those bridges for students so that they can develop social capital of their own. And I feel like Sioux Falls has been a great place for me to be able to do that.
I apologize that I was late, but I wanted to just comment. I have a daughter that's going off to college this year, and thankfully my husband and I are both college graduates, but as we've gone through the process, we hear a lot about first generation. And, some people will say, well, what's the difference? Like, somebody has to go first or whatever. But I have been amazed at how much my daughter does not understand about choosing classes and how different that next step in education is. And having been there is a huge benefit for my family. And so I can only imagine, those students, and now with everything so much more technical than it was 20 years ago when I went, where you really are independent. There's not that person that you go to typically that's going to hold your hand and do all those things. You really are kind of on your own. And so I just think it's such a great, like the mentoring pieces and all of those things are going to be so beneficial to those students really in retaining them and helping them to be successful long term. Because they don't have that experience behind them, and their parents, who probably have helped them with numerous other things, also don't have that experience. And so the number of websites that you have to go through to get to one thing is alarming, I think. And so just a huge benefit and a huge obstacle that you were kind of breaking down for those students and helping them to be successful. So that was one thing that stood out from what you were talking about, is I just think that that's so important to remove those things so that they can come and do what they want to do, which is learn, and not have it be the registration or the learning management system or those barriers along the way that keep them from being successful when they really do have the potential to do well.
Have you had a chance to read any of Malcolm Gladwell podcasts about first-generation students going off to college?
I haven't read anything about his take on first-generation students. I'm, familiar with him in Blink and all those ideas about spontaneous thinking, but nothing regarding first-generation students.
I'll send you a couple of them that really, he just has dived into that first-generation student with some real first-person interviews, and they're able to share a perspective that you may already have heard out in the community, but it really drives home some of the points that you're talking about. And then he has some additional research that he did. So if you're looking at writing any grants, as you were starting to talk about social capital and some of those things, you may be able to just lend some different ideas as well.
Yeah, thank you for that recommendation.
Yeah.
Seeing nothing else, do you have a motion to acknowledge the Access and Workforce Opportunity Update?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
Now to item C. Okay. And then we'll go to pre-college program advisor update, please.
President Mickelson and members of the board, my name is Anna Fisher. I'm the pre-college program advisor at Southeast Tech. Let's see if I can get the next slide. I've been at Southeast Tech for 16 years. My role is within the admissions department. I work with the students that take dual credit classes and the concurrent credit classes, and then also on exploration opportunities that we provide on campus. I'm here today to explain some of those opportunities that we've had throughout the summer. We started with Camp Med. It's a middle school program where we partner with Stanford and the CTE Academy. We have 2 cohorts, a morning and an afternoon. We have students, the first 2 days, they go to CTE, and they do a lot of hands-on learning about body systems, just some basic sort of medical things. And then on day 3, they come to Southeast, and we take them through programs and explain then how like what they learned the first couple of days translates into the next steps after high school. And then they do where they learn about the program, and then they do a hands-on activities. So like in the dental assisting, they had to brush their teeth and then pop one of the little red pills to see how they actually did with brushing their teeth and things like that, just so everything sort of correlates with the next thing. And then on day 4, we have admissions come in and talk about, you know, high school classes you should take, the importance of your GPA throughout high school, things like that, and then take a full campus tour so they know that we're more than just one building. And then they spend the afternoon of that day then at the research center. That same week, we had a high school engineering camp on campus. This was brought about to build awareness for engineering programs and the engineering industry. We had 18 students come to campus. Stockwell Engineers was the industry partner that helped provide meals, materials, things like that, stipends. So they participated in 4 days worth of information, and then at the last day, then they went to Graco for their industry tour to pull that piece in as well. We had the USD High School Health Camp on campus on June 16th. So this is a week-long camp that's in USD, but they come to our campus for one of their days to get exposure to some of our programs. And again, they do hands-on activities and learn about the program specifically, meet with admissions, all of those things. You can see in the picture, they're in surge tech there, and they're pulling Tootsie Rolls out of an abdomen with surgical tools. They're intubating a mannequin in the other picture, just getting those actual experiences so they can see what it's like on our campus. We have the Avera High School Camp. This is actually at Avera for the whole event, but it's CTE, Southeast Tech, and Avera partnering again to make sure that they can see the different steps in education and what comes about and how industry is involved. They go through 9 different careers, and they're not all just medical careers. So business, the dietary area, things like that. So they can kind of see a little bit of everything that Avera has to offer. They work with the helicopter, got to go see all of that and check things out. So it's a good day on campus at Avera to see the different areas that they offer. And then they talk about like the Avera Academy and different things that will be coming through high school that they will have the opportunity to take part in. Dakota Dreams is a new event that came about this year. So there was money left over from the American Rescue Plan, and the Board of Regents and Board of Tech Ed decided to create this free camp initiative. Every campus was partnered with a Board of Regents campus, and mostly geography determined who you're with. So we were with USD. We had the students then on our campus for one day, June 28th. They went through those 4 programs pretty quickly because they didn't get to campus till like 10, so they went through those programs pretty quickly. And then they did industry tours where they went to Lawrence and Schiller for an hour and Avera for an hour in the afternoon. And I'm gonna share, Kello presented on this, so I'm gonna share that video.
This week, middle schoolers from across South Dakota are already getting a glimpse into what their futures could hold.
Double and Sarah McDowell caught up with the students, learning about the potential careers.
Are visiting Southeast Technical College today. Right now, they're learning all about nursing by doing different hands-on activities.
At one of those stations, they have to put on personal protective equipment. So they put on a gown, a gloves, a mask, a shield, and boot covers and all that. They have to take a fake specimen to the lab and then come back and take it all off. At the other one, we are trying to help them understand how to give patients specific instructions, especially when they're visually impaired.
Kyler Kenyon is going to be an 8th grader this year. He says these activities are fun, but not as easy as you think.
My teammate had to tell me what to eat, and it was pretty hard. I think I dropped a few sweet tarts.
It's part of the Dakota Dreams Career Exploration Summer Camps, which are free 5-day camps offered by the South Dakota Board of Regents. They're spending time on university and technical college campuses learning about different options for life after graduation.
I think one of my favorites has been this one in graphic design. And then we learned math and business. And then we also did science and law.
There are 4 rotations students are going through today. Along with nursing, the students are learning about medical assistance, digital media, and accounting.
I think it's awesome to get them thinking about opportunities when they are at this age because they're so impressionable and they can really see how many opportunities that they have and that they can be exposed to things that they maybe didn't know were even out there.
In Sioux Falls, Sarah McDonald, KELOLAND News.
The camps are hosted this week. Middle schoolers from across South Dakota are already getting a glimpse into what their futures could.
Again, Marcella kind of touched on like the middle school age is sort of important as far as development and making sure they're aware of all the different opportunities that are out there career-wise. There's so much more, to different opportunities that we offer that a lot of people don't know about. So getting them on our campus for those things early is very helpful. Right now is the construction camp. That's a partnership with CTE. There was 30 students that attended today for the first day. So that'll be just learning a lot about the different construction options that are available. We also have a couple opportunities where we have high school students that can earn dual credit during different opportunities that they're taking part in. So one would be the AGC Construction Academy. We have 8 students, and each student is partnered with an industry sponsor. That sponsor then pays for their 5 credits that they're taking in their morning session, and then they go out and work with that employer then in the afternoon. They can make up to like $5,000 in the summer doing this, so it's a great opportunity. They get 5 credits, they get $5,000. Sounds like a great deal to me. They then will graduate on August 2nd, and we'll have that ceremony on our campus. And then we have a couple different high schools that have the summer CNA program going. They will have the lecture portion online, and then they have the lab and skills portion that goes along with this, plus the 2-day, 8-hour clinical, and then they'll be able to take the exam to be certified. And just sort of a glimpse at some of the other things that are kind of ongoing every year on our campus as far as exploration opportunities for students and different ways that we reach out with the schools. So we always host the Fall Counselors Workshop where we can share new information about different opportunities. And that's not just us, but everybody comes in to present. We have Construction Awareness Day, CTE Academy tours where they come down specifically for the day for their programs. We have career exploration events. So those days are like a visit day on steroids. They get to do a lot more than just hear about how to get into school. They get to do a lot of the hands-on activities and stuff. And then we also have our regular visit days. We host some mini camps for their competitions. They can practice and learn from our instructors so that they're prepared then when they have their HOSA competitions in the spring. We have Women in Science, where we have the 800 middle school girls on campus in March. We have early childhood tours with the Sioux Falls School District, and then we help with the HOSA competitions and have those on campus, and then our Sioux Falls School District career days that we have on campus. So, and then I just included some of the other dual credit and concurrent credit partnerships that we have, so you can see those as well. That is the end. Do you have any questions?
Well, awesome work, by the way. And, just as Marcella and you both pointed out, the earlier we can touch these kids and get this in front of them. And then I think about the Build Dakota ceremony we had this summer with 141, I think, scholarships awarded this year. And just get that and make that, this is doable. This is affordable. If we can work with you and get this and get that in front of them to make that a goal is just, the more we can repeat that over and over is just fantastic. So thank you. And the other exciting thing I hear, because I think for so long we saw silos. There was the university system, there was the tech school system, and we're seeing much more partnership between the two and, a bridge between the two. You might start here, you might end up here, and vice versa, and that they can work together to make sure that we serve the student the best way possible. So thank you for working on that.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
I just love the variety of things that are available to students, from whether it's medical to hands-on construction and, yeah, I think it's such a good way for people to go and either learn this is for me or this is not for me.
Right.
Either way, it's a win,
Yeah.
because they're not going to waste any more time or money investigating something or wondering if that was what they were supposed to do if they get the opportunity. And whether it's Tootsie Rolls in an abdomen or Sweet Tarts or whatever it is, it's still skill-based, and it's still an introduction to something that they maybe didn't truly understand. You hear a lot of kids, I feel like, what do you want to be? And they're like, it's always a doctor or a veterinarian or it's always the same kinds of things, but do they really know what that means? And to actually get them out and see what other things mean can really help to guide those future decisions. So I love the variety, and you can just tell by the pictures and stuff too. And they were having a good time. And whenever something is fun, they're more apt to learn more and remember more and have it be more impactful for themselves. So
yeah, we even had, like, for the Camp Med, had some kids that did it last year that came back.
Yeah, which is awesome.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to acknowledge the pre-college program advisor update?
So moved. Second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And now we are having HR initiatives report and our newest member probably on there. So it's nice to meet you.
Yes, President Mickelson, members of the board, thank you for your time today. My name is Heidi Gaffro, and I am the new Human Resources Director at Southeast Tech. And I just wanted to talk to all of you about some initiatives that I've taken hold of. Some I've completed, and some I'm still working on. But we'll kind of just go through what I've done. So per recommendation from the board, I put together a couple leadership training days for all supervisors and managers, just to, help with the things that we saw were lacking, some skills that were lacking, but also what the supervisor managers wanted. I actually sent out a survey to them asking what they wanted to learn from HR so they could do their job better. So our first training day was last June, and it went really well. So despite vacations and COVID and things, we still had the majority of people there, which was good. To start off, I just went through Southeast Tech policies, because even though the handbook's available to everybody, who knows if they've read all of it, when was the last time they read it? So I thought in order to understand your job, you need to understand what employees can and cannot do. So we went over that. I went into an explanation of Fmla, because that was something that I know was a bit confusing. So when I got here, I know that that was something that a lot of managers wanted me to kind of explain how it works, who's eligible, all those things. And I just combined it with ADA and workers' comp just to give them a good overview of the different kinds of laws that we are obligated to follow. And then documentation and the importance of documentation, not just bad, but good, making sure that you are recognizing your employees and you're writing that down, and the importance of writing down things that, okay, you had a conversation with someone, it might not go anywhere, but it might be a good idea to just still document it just in case. And then investigation. So this again leads back to the policies. If a policy is violated, are we going to have to do an investigation? And so just kind of step by step the process for that, when to contact me, that kind of thing. And so the second one is actually tomorrow. And we're gonna go through FERPA and Title IX, because again, that was a topic that the majority of the supervisors wanted to learn more about. So we're gonna go through that. And then I'm gonna talk about mental health in the workplace. That is a huge, huge piece of all the HR trends that I'm seeing, is just mental health and the importance of taking care of your people. So we're gonna cover that. And then Marcella and I are actually going to kick off an unconscious bias and cultural competency training. So with the managers and supervisors, we're going to let them know that we're going to have available to all employees a 5-part session over the course of the next year, talking about, just exploring different things, your own biases, because we all have them. What does that mean? How can we improve upon that? Any questions about different cultures, different backgrounds. So that's something that we're going to be talking about as well tomorrow. And the goals for those leadership trainings were, number one, to promote better decision making. So as long as they know the policies, the procedures, the law, they're going to make better decisions for their employees. To have some team building, getting all the managers and supervisors together, even though it was just listening to me talk, but still, because some of them ask questions that maybe someone didn't think of or didn't want to ask in front of the group. So that was nice. And then becoming a better mentor to their employees, letting their employees know, you know, what's available to them, what they can do, improve their confidence when they know, hey, this is how FMLA works. You can speak to it better to your employees. And then to spot employment issues early, to recognize those warning signs, those red flags, so hopefully we don't have anything huge happen. And then just a few other initiatives that I'm working on. So I did update the employee handbook. What I did is, right now there's hyperlinks in there, but when you click on them, they don't go anywhere. So to avoid that mess, I took those out and just put the actual dialogue in there. And then I'm also working with Dr. Valdez to create a separate employee handbook and a separate faculty handbook, just because the Higher Learning Commission recommends that there's two separate ones. So once the faculty is complete, then we can roll out both. So until then, I'm still using the one that we currently have. Streamlining the hiring process. So with all full-time employees and adjunct instructors, I'm just requiring a resume be filled out, because before it was upload your resume and then answer all the application questions, which was basically you just hear or see, please see resume, please see resume. And I'm like, let's make it a better candidate experience and just have them do the resume. And then I also updated some of our forms. So for example, the job application still asks for SSN, which we shouldn't ask for SSN, so I took those off. Updated our Equal Employment Opportunity Commission form to be separate, because right now it was on an employee personnel form and those actually need to be kept separate, so I divided those two up. New recruitment, we did run some commercials. I don't know if you saw them at all, but we ran some commercials and some online streaming ads to hopefully get some people interested in applying for some of our open instructor positions. And then I created a new hire orientation packet, which has the handbook, benefits for full-time employees, campus map, just kind of a book of everything that you would need to know to be an employee. And then I'm also working with President Griggs and Dr. Valdez to implement reviews for all employees. So doing faculty, staff, all of that, because faculty has been going on, but we haven't done a lot for the other employees, and we really need to, in both full-time and part-time. People need to know how they're doing. And it's just really important not only for them to get their feedback, but again, to have that documentation in case we ever need it. So that was it, I believe. Yeah. So any questions?
Well, it's a big job, and whenever I think of HR, I think of the office and Toby, and not Toby. By the way, yeah. And we are very appreciative as a board to have you in place, because you know we need to make sure we're, as an institution, following these guidelines, following these rules. So it's very important. So thank you for doing this. And I love that you asked them what they wanted to learn as well, too, so that you make sure you're addressing maybe issues you're not aware of, because you're new to the institution as well. So appreciate you taking the time to do that. So thank you very much. Any other questions or something?
I think the perfect person to put together a new hire orientation packet is the new hire.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly what the questions are, and you probably wish you had a map, or you wish you had whatever. So I think that's awesome, and it's a great way to welcome somebody and help maybe people who have been here for a long time understand that first impression of and the employment perspective of, oh yeah, that's where this is at, and things have changed so much out there that it's nice to have something like that. So I think that's the things you started off with are great, because it's that fresh perspective of a new set of eyes to look at something and ask those questions and get some answers and make some tweaks where needed. So nice work.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And I do have a bobblehead of Toby in my office.
Oh, do you really? That's funny that I didn't even know that, so it's good. Seeing no other questions or comments, do I have a motion to acknowledge the HR initiatives report?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is acknowledged.
Good timing.
Yes.
With summer, the August Southeast Tech Board meeting is on the normal, no, what date is it? Just so for the public, so that they know as well. 8th? Yes, Monday, August 8th at 4 p.m. So just notice that change. Monday, August 8th at 4 p.m. Any other for the good of the board? Seeing none, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved. Second.
A motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.